Welcome to this first session. My name is Francesca Pozzi. I am researcher at the Institute for Educational Technology of the Italian National Council for Research. I'm very honored. I'm chairing this first session of this conference. The session, as you know, is dedicated to learning ecosystem in practices and polyphonic experiences. And we will have a free contribution in this session. The first contribution is entitled Student Smartphone Experience Narratives Mediated by the phygital School Library for Learning Ecosystem. And it is presented by Maria José Fonseca, who I see online.
Okay, so my name is Maria José Fonseca. I am a teacher librarian in Famalicão. And I am also a PhD in information and communication in digital platforms by University of Aveiro and University of Porto. Nowadays, teenagers and younger generations have clearly adopted a digital technology mediated the way of life, using service interfaces by smartphones, by tablets, by computers, and using for almost everything. Sorry. And now let's talk about the students. I'm sorry, I have to put this. Okay. Let's talk about students. Having the possibility to bring their own device to school will facilitate a reorganization of practices with emphasis on networked learning, promoting students and student-teacher connection in a community of resources, interests of learning. Okay. In line with the new educational paradigm, it is extremely necessary to promote and enhance a different way of learning by modeling a different education by autonomy, critical thinking, and learning in different forms throughout life. In this sense, the educational ecosystem, now has a greater responsibility in this development and promotion of new fundamental skills associated with information triage, such as research, selection, and its critical and careful treatment, so that students can meet the demands of a status quo influenced by information. This new era, mediated and immersed in technologies, has also changed the trajectory of the role and mission of the librarian teacher. Students developed a daily experience and we know with the smartphone usage for their private needs in diverse social and human scenarios. And now we have to ask if could the school library and librarian be one of the mediation agents capable of bringing into the learning ecosystems of communication process these interaction narratives. We have to know how will the paper, not the how can the school library and the librarian lead about this? We know that library can be anywhere, accompanying the users wherever they are. So this research process took place in the head school of Dona Maria II school clusters at Famalicão, Portugal, from October 2018 till October 2021. I have to say that most of the empirical work took place during COVID-19, and more than 80% of the data collection process was done online via Zoom audiovisual platforms, and it integrated 236 participants like students, teachers, and parents. As you see, from the 5th grade, 7th grade, and 19th grade. And now we have designed a design-based research, DBR process was chosen to better begin and validate an info communication model mediated by smartphones to be used for learning process. Goal of identifying the students' daily info communication experience narratives on their smartphones, capable for also being used for the classroom activities. And now we can see that they use the smartphone to essentially used for play, as you see here, to communicate, watching videos, and just 9th grade use carrying out works. And in the proposal of the first version of the model, the highlight goes to distance learning, personal and collaborative work, sharing information and documents, and content search. It was interesting to see that the students suggested some characteristics for the common service that can improve considerably and sociability, sorry, my English, empathy, and contribute for a more human learning context. We have here some scenarios used to iteratively design to conceptual prototype in DBR process. The data collected from this initial inquiries process was processed by the research team and designed into 8 scenarios and corresponding user narratives. Scenarios use it to iteratively design the conceptual prototype in DBR process. Now, I would like to share with you a promotional video made by 4 students of the new communication technology degree, which reflects the simulation of all the flow dynamic in the different functionalities that we intend to be tested. sorry. And now, this set of info communicational service systematize the most pertinent opinions and proposal collected from the study, and at a certain point of the research process were validated by all population of the case study. We can see here the most heuristic model of info communication service with access to personal information, implementing of interest badges. For example, this is associated with the personalization of information and motivation that may influence learning, allowing the students to select 3 badges to add to the profile. The students considered that knowing the interest of his of her classmate will mean understanding him or her better. The interpersonal communication, information, organization of information, students' performance information, synchronous and asynchronous conversation, collaborative work, submitted work for assessment, peer-to-peer evaluation. And now we can see that on peer-to-peer evaluation, creation of a new learning opportunities in symbiosis with the experience and critical, positive, and constructive reflection that will enhance in the classroom or outside the classroom a more attentive positioning towards disciplinary contents. And also the personalized feedback to the students and study management. As a research process, it can be inspiring, a reference and generalizable for other smart school ecosystems. The comparison between the social worlds, school and home, as well as inside and outside the classroom, constitute deeply structured information of the heuristic model contributions and the contribution of this work. This info communication service validated with the DBR process and conceptual prototype in this case study. This service, a contribution of this study, were identified in the specific context of this research, and their pertinence is not generalizable to other learning ecosystem. But the research process, in the other hand, proved to be adequate to be applied into other similar learning ecosystems because the method and the data collection techniques are not context dependent. The librarian teacher as an agent of change. I think that the librarian can be an agent of change. The easy of access to the school library as a phygital space, physical plus digital, effectively allows supporting the needs and interests of stakeholders, with students as both consumer and producer of information and agents of critical self and peer assessment. It was really a research process that can enhance new learning opportunities for students and potentiate social experience and reflective skill. This study, coordinated by a phygital school library, with the active participation of the students, identification of their user experience narratives and UX mediated by the smartphone, within a specific context, Dona Maria II school clusters in Vila Nova de Famalicão, based in the info communication construct, relieved clear evidence that such a research process can enhance new learning opportunities for the students and potentiate social, experiential, and reflective skills. Thank you, and I'm really sorry for my English. It will be better in Portuguese. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Maria. Don't worry, it was quite understandable. I will ask one. I was curious to understand, because as far as I understand, your work is focused on this librarian teacher. And it seems that in your school, or probably in your country, I don't know, I'm not sure about this. This is quite a common profile. Does this mean that there is a librarian teacher in any school? Or, because you also mentioned the fact that you have talked about generalizing the results or the methods used in your study. So I was wondering whether you have investigated whether and to what extent this professional profile is present also in other contexts in other countries. So I don't know if the question is clear.
Francesca, yes, in Portugal, in our this is a non-higher education school cluster, so middle and high school. And yes, inside our schools, we have, inside our ecosystems, we have the library and the librarian teacher. So it's not just librarian. Maria José is researcher and observer in this case study for a PhD, and she is a librarian teacher. And this was an opportunity, her view and her understanding of most probably the librarian could be librarian teacher inside a school ecosystem here in Portugal, which is something that is frequent, and it's part of the model of the school ecosystem model, could be an agent of change, because we still have a major problem here, and I believe in other countries too. To manage change for teachers, it's not just like delivering technology. We have to understand how pedagogically things need to change to really learn how to use or adequate the use of technology in the daily exercise of being a teacher and, of course, of the learning process. And so this exercise was to try and understand the student's perspective. And the librarian is an excellent agent to mediate that and understand the student's perspective of what are they doing on their smartphones in terms of process that can be adapted and used in the school ecosystem inside class or outside class, but of course for the purpose of learning. And as Maria José mentioned, the process she chose as a case study is most probably generalizable. Not, of course, the results because they are context dependent, but the process, yes. And this is an opportunity, at least here in Portugal, and of course, inspiring for other countries that don't have this agent, that the librarian teacher and the library as a school organic element is an excellent opportunity to manage change and help their colleague teachers of other disciplines to really manage change and get the correct technology, the correct narratives, the correct process, mediation, technology mediation processes into place so classes go fluently and go okay. So this, we know Scolari, for whoever is in the education area knows that Scolari has been doing this research for some time, but only recently have we understood that, for example, he went into understanding also the narratives of the student's perspective. And so this really adds on what Scolari has been doing in the educational area. And I think Maria had here an excellent view, an excellent perspective. And of course, her experience as a teacher also helped here. She's not a teenager. She already has some experience. And I think this also helped. It's a mature view of the problems, but here juggling for a solution, which I think it's inspiring for other teachers and for other school ecosystems. Francesca, thank you for your question.